What if your relationship with your body didn't have to be hard forever? What if the solution wasn't wishing for a different body or a different you? It wasn't taking magic pills or supplements to wake up different overnight. It wasn't listening to influencers who've received thousands of dollars of plastic surgery for free in exchange for an Instagram post. It wasn't filling your head with toxic skinny talk rants disguised as self-care. Definitely wasn't bullying yourself. It wasn't grinding to be a different you. What if your relationship with your body could be different? And it could be a relationship truly characterized by peace and kindness. I know it might seem hard, but just imagine it. Imagine a world where your relationship with food feels intuitive and trusting. Imagine a world where your relationship with movement feels joyful and inspiring. Imagine a world where these things aren't delivered as punishment or restrictions or harsh rules forcing you to fit into boxes you just don't fit in the name of being the most beautiful you. What if your relationship with your body could be different? What if it could feel better? What if our adult selves could learn what our child selves probably should have been taught? What if it just didn't have to hurt so bad all the time? I haven't really talked about my body image online a lot recently. I feel like it's even maybe been a couple years since it's been a major part of my content. And that's because I've been doing a lot of deep and uncomfortable healing. A lot of unlearning has been happening. And I feel like I needed silence to do some of that, and I still need silence to do much more of it. That's been kind of the beautiful and silly part about my body image journey, is that it is seemingly never ending. Some days I'll be like, wow, I am so different than I used to be, or really all days I feel like I'm so different than I used to be, but I just discover all these new pockets of things to unlearn and dive deeper into. But that makes sense because body image stuff is famously kind of a lot. So I'm definitely not saying that my relationship with my body is perfect now, and that's why I am talking about this now, but it's definitely gotten a lot more comfortable for me, especially since the last time that I dove into any sort of details on this channel. So I wanted to share some of that with you because it does feel kind of crucial and important to understanding the person that I am right now. This is what my hair looks like when I start to let it air dry on its own. Not good, okay. Got these like inconsistent curls on the bottom, straight on the top, frizzy all around. I've been loving using this smoothing spray from IGK that is also a heat protectant. Usually I'll shower, let my hair air dry a little bit. It's still damp right now. And then I'll go in, spray this section by section, and start blow drying. And IGK is the sponsor of today's video. What this is it's basically a heat activated anti-frizz spray that provides frizz control up to 24 hours and heat protection up to 450 degrees Fahrenheit, which is great because I would never ever let that amount of heat near my hair regardless. All you do is just start with damp or dry hair, section your hair and spray Good Behavior smoothing spray evenly from root to tip, and just start blow drying or heat styling section by section. Like, come on, look at that difference. It's inspired by professional keratin treatments to help deliver the smooth, sleek look without all the extra chemicals. It's super lightweight and non-greasy, and it works on all hair types to control frizz, block humidity, and extend the lifespan of your hairstyle. And also it's color safe, which is clearly very important to me. Beautiful, gorgeous, silky, shiny, and most importantly, protected from heat every single time. So if you're interested in trying out IGK's smoothing spray yourself, you can click the link in the description of this video or scan this QR code for 25% off your purchase. Something that really impacted me as a child that I've been working through in my adulthood was how activity and movement was never really allowed to just be fun for me. It was always a vehicle for changing myself, or at least that's what I was taught. So naturally, I grew up hating it and absolutely loathed noticing how differently I was treated versus my siblings when we chose to move our bodies. If my sister took the dog for a walk, no one bat an eyelash, but if I did, I was cheered on and congratulated. It made me feel so icky, like I wasn't allowed to just move my body and be treated the same way as everyone else did. The encouragement actually made me feel othered. It had the opposite effect on me as was intended. It made me want to move less. I felt humiliated by it. I just wanted it to be unremarkable to people. I wanted to be treated exactly the same as everyone else was. It would have been so weird if people were congratulating my sister for going on a walk. She would have been like, thanks, okay. So why did people do it to me? Because they made snap judgments about me because of what I looked like. Even people who knew me made snap judgments about me, despite knowing that I was in the dance studio every single day with my sister. But my sister looked one way and I looked another. And because of that, there was no amount that could ever be seen as enough. It was always going to be something worth congratulating me about. I wasn't going to just be treated like a normal person who is going on a walk, and that is a totally unremarkable fact. I felt like I was just being watched and studied and critiqued. I felt really uncomfortable with the fact that other people were watching me or studying my body and paying attention to small things about me like that. I felt uncomfortable that people noticed at all. Famously, the only form of movement that I ever liked growing up was dance, and it was because no one ever took it seriously and nobody ever considered it a real sport. So it was almost like it was safe in that sense because nobody thought it was good enough or worth taking serious enough anyways. So I sort of avoided critique on that front. Dance was the only thing that ever allowed me to just be genuinely curious about movement in a very innocent way, which is interesting because I know that that experience is kind of at odds with what a lot of dancers experience. My dance studio was a space where I felt free of judgment when it came to my body because it was too creative to be considered a real sport. My sister and I spent every day at the dance studio growing up. I worked at the dance studio. I was a teacher. We spent the same amount of time moving our bodies every single day, but mine looked different than hers. And I was constantly critiqued for not doing enough while feeling confused because I was doing exactly the same things as my sister. I grew up feeling embarrassed, humiliated, and othered when I tried to move my body. It made me feel like there was something wrong with me. I felt like I wasn't allowed to just move my body for fun, that there always had to be some deeper motivation for why I was moving. And it honestly stripped me from my ability to have a healthy relationship with daily movement. It denied me the ability to find joy in moving my body on a daily basis without an overwhelming amount of self-critique. And I think when I realized that as an adult, when I realized there was something in the way I was treated as a child, the way I learned about movement as a child that was preventing me from having a healthy relationship with it as an adult, a switch flipped for me. Over the last couple months, I've started really loving going on a morning walk. Fuck it, an afternoon walk, an evening walk. Usually I opt for morning because I like it when it's as cold as possible. But it's become something I really look forward to. It's become kind of sacred to me, that time by myself in the morning, just listening to whatever song I have on repeat that week. Last week, it was Bittersweet Symphony by The Verve. And this week, it's absolutely gonna be Fame is a Gun by Addison Rae. Yeah. It's really fucking good. I know I mentioned recently how I got the Oura Ring and I've been really loving it. I think as is true with any health and fitness tracker, you need to be in the right headspace in order to utilize it for anything positive. For me, this thing has been awesome, and also for a lot of people, wearing something like this would probably be pretty detrimental to your mental health, and I wouldn't recommend it. But I think at the stage of my life I'm currently in, I feel very trusting of myself and my ability to have a healthy relationship with something like this. So it's actually been quite helpful for me, for the sleep tracking, the cycle tracking, and actually, above all else, it's actually been a nice way to be more gentle with myself. I think one of my major findings through wearing the Oura Ring has been noticing how Oura doesn't give you like an activity goal that is the same every single day. Your activity goal changes based on how you slept that night, how you've slept sort of the entire week, your body temperature, your cycle phase. The goals that the ring is setting for you are really based in what your body is capable of doing that day, which I really appreciate, because if I've had a shitty night's sleep, realistically, I'm not going to have the energy to go out, seize the day, and, go on a multi-mile walk. And my ring knows that about me. So it's not gonna suggest that I do that if it sees that I got a terrible night's sleep. So in many ways, it's actually helped me to actually have data, and instead of yelling at myself inside my head because I feel so exhausted and I can't get off the couch that day, I can look at the ring and be like, actually, stop gaslighting yourself. You slept like shit last night. It is so normal to not have energy right now. Don't force yourself to do something that you're not in the mood to do. Because so much of this for me in like learning how to have a good relationship with movement is not forcing myself to do things that I don't want to do. Letting myself do it for the joy of it, for the fun of it. And if it's not fun, and if it's not bringing me joy, if it feels forced, if I feel uncomfortable with it, if it makes me feel not excited in any way, I'm not going to do it. And maybe that in itself is controversial to people, because I feel like for so much of my life, the attitude around fitness and movement, particularly when talking about plus size people, is to be like, you have to force yourself to do this thing, be in a grind. I don't care if you don't want to do it. Get up and get your ass to the gym. And it's like, that doesn't work for me, actually. I want to enjoy my life. I want to enjoy moving my body. I want to feel good about it. So if I'm having a mental health crisis, if I slept like shit, if I am on the heaviest day of my period and I don't want to do anything besides sit on the fucking couch, no one on the fucking planet is going to make me feel bad for that, because I'm listening to my body and doing what feels good. And that is the whole fucking point. So the Oura Ring for me has been a nice way to challenge myself to move more when I feel up to it. And it's also been a nice encouragement to relax when I don't feel up to it. But like I said, health trackers of any kind can be used for bad if in the hands of the wrong person. So while it's been an incredible tool for me, I would only recommend something like this if you feel like you are mentally in the headspace where you can have a healthy relationship with it. I've also been having a lot of fun with cooking recently and just learning more about nutrition, building meals that really feel good in my body. I've always known this, but I think it's felt particularly resonant recently, just in, reflecting and learning that it was actually never about restriction. It was never about not eating your favorite foods. And honestly, it's not even about eating your favorite foods less. I don't believe in a cheat day. If you love breakfast sandwiches, I think you should eat a breakfast sandwich every fucking morning. Just learn how to make a damn good one that's also good for you. Adding in fruits and healthy fats and extra protein. It's not about taking things out, it's about adding things in. Eat whatever the fuck you want. Just get creative with it. And I think when I allowed myself to start seeing cooking and food as something I could be creative with, that I could have whatever I wanted whenever I wanted it. It was just about getting a little creative to see what the most nutritionally dense way I could build my favorite foods was. Changed the fucking game. But this is a kind of attitude around food that I was never modeled growing up. This might even feel kind of like duh to a lot of people, but I think to those of us that have grown up with so much guilt and shame around food, it's not so obvious. No one ever modeled this for me. I grew up around many people with eating disorders. I have clawed my way out of the things I was taught to believe as a child. And this all impacted my relationship with movement too. Obviously, food and movement are like so connected. Allowing myself to be curious about nutrition without turning it into punishment allowed me to be curious about movement without turning it into punishment. I allowed myself to feel curious about these things without deeper judgment about what that curiosity might mean. And ultimately, what the curiosity ended up meaning for me was this. I wanted to be stronger and have a little bit more endurance. I wanted to be a little less out of breath. I wanted to feel capable and trusting in my body. I wanted to just work on expanding what it is that feels good to me and enjoying my body to its maximum capacity. I was seeing a weight neutral nutritionist for a little while, and she really was the starting point for a lot of the change that I'm now starting to feel the effects of years later. And something I would talk about a lot with her was how not using words like working out actually helped me sort of rewire my brain, because working out was something associated with punishment for me. It was bad and not fun, and I needed to find ways to move my body that felt fun. Part of that was just changing the words I was using. I'm not working out, I'm taking a recess. I'm going outside and playing. I'm moving my emotions around and out of my body. I'm letting confidence seep into my body as I'm strutting to Von Dutch while walking down the street. Going on walks has actually become one of my favorite ways to take a recess. Bringing my camera with me and going on a little photo walk, picking a coffee shop a little bit farther away so that I have a little matcha to look forward to in the middle of my walk. Kind of awesome. I think whenever I wake up feeling anxious, it's just nice to get my body moving and get the feeling sort of moving up and out of my body. Hate that they're right about that. Hate that that works. I actually come home feeling much more capable of taking care of my emotional health as well. Like I'm just more well-regulated and present. And it's not about anything other than expanding my joy and self-certainty. It's just about having fun, moving my body, and feeling like a deep trust within myself to show up for me. Just a woman taking a recess, moving the emotions up and out of her body, and feeling so much relief that this is not something that I feel triggered by anymore. I'm allowed to feel just like everybody else. I am allowed to have a normal relationship with movement too. And it's not something I do on a schedule. It's not something I force myself to do. It's something that's entirely intuitive based and rooted in whatever it is that I want to do that day, whatever it is that feels best for my body that day. And it's important to me that it stays that way. Also, what the fuck is happening? Like, this wind is kind of bananas, no? What the hell is going on? Obviously, my journey to healing my relationship with food and movement has been one that spanned years, and I believe it was maybe 3 years ago now, which is crazy, that I discovered my dance studio, Good Move, which was a major turning point for me in that healing journey, since dance was my safe space growing up, and you sort of lose that the older that you get, because there's not really a lot of adult dance studios with the same energy as recreational dance studios for children. So getting to bring dance back into my life as an adult changed so much for me, and it's just such a joy to be around other people who want to wiggle and jump and spin around, not to be great at it, but just to have fun with it. Honestly, I have zero desire to be a hardo in the gym, to be an athlete in the way that my mother is an athlete, running marathons and shit. I have no desire to do that. It sounds terrible. I don't want to. I just want to feel comfortable moving my body and having fun doing it. I don't care to be the best at it, to be the most skilled, to achieve something really fantastic. I just want to do it. And I feel like so much of the conversation, specifically around fitness online, denies the individual experience and personal history that is so heavily tied to these topics. And I'm sure you guys know this, especially if you listen to my podcast, but I feel really critical of any one-size-fits-all body image, health, food, and fitness related advice doled out online, because there's no way to know who you're talking to or what their personal history with their body is, what their actual lived experience of being in their body is. All of us have totally different experiences. You and I can eat the same things, work out the same ways, and we will still look two completely different ways. I'm also famously critical of a lot of advice online that is marketed as health and fitness advice when really they're only talking about aesthetics. It's one thing to post genuinely helpful content. I'm by no means saying that all health and fitness content online is toxic. Laura Gerard, for example, is someone that posts incredibly helpful fitness content that is also very kind. Definitely recommend checking her out if you're not familiar. I love seeing people talk about movement in a way that feels flexible and intuitive, teaching you how to move your body in specific ways and giving helpful modifications where necessary, teaching you how to cook more colorful meals that keep you satisfied for longer, how to make your favorite foods in healthier ways. I love health, fitness, wellness content that is rooted in being shame-free. What I don't love is when people project one very specific image about what health and wellness is, or what it should look like on everyone, which is ridiculous because it looks different for everyone. And I think that overall, within health and fitness spaces, people need to be more conscious about who it is they're marketing to, whether it is conscious or subconscious. I do believe that when talking about these kinds of subjects, you have an obligation to be gentle, careful, and fucking thoughtful about what it is you're saying and who might be consuming those words. There's just an overwhelming amount of health and fitness related content online that is basically just how to have an eating disorder 101. And it's scary. I feel grateful to know the difference, and I do feel at peace with myself in this era, trusting in my ability to navigate exploring my relationship with food and movement in a healthy way. And also, I feel worried for all of the young Maddies consuming really toxic body content online right now. There is too much of it. I feel a wave of panic every time I see a skinny talk video happen across my feeds for whatever fucking reason. Seeing people that I know personally embrace some of this skinny talk, nothing tastes as good as skinny feels type nonsense that is just repackaged bullshit that I experienced in my childhood as well. It's sad for me to see anyone falling victim to those kind of things. I think it's incredibly dangerous and it makes me really mad. And if younger Maddie was watching this right now, I would want to tell her to remember that her relationship with food and movement is her own. And whatever works for her doesn't have to mimic what works for all of these other people. The key to a healthier relationship with food and movement is following your joy. If you don't enjoy it, don't do it. Find something that works better for you instead. It doesn't have to be a grind. It doesn't have to make you miserable. There is a world where moving your body can just feel fun and intuitive and like a normal part of your life. What does it feel like in your body? What feels good for you? What makes your heart and mind feel good as well as your physical body? You are allowed to enjoy moving your body. You are allowed to find peace with that. And you are allowed to love your body as it is right now and move for the joy of moving with no other objective. Something that I really love about my dance studio is that the instructors always refer to everyone as dancers. It's not a title you have to earn, it's just one that you get the moment you step into those studio doors. No matter what you look like, or how much experience you have, or how talented you are as a dancer, you are a dancer. Your relationship with movement is not dependent on your physical body, not what it looks like or how often you've done that form of movement in the past. You can be welcomed and embraced in any fitness group you'd like to be a part of. You are supposed to be here just like everyone else. You are a dancer, you're a walker, you're a runner, you're an athlete on day one, baby. You are supposed to be here just like everyone else. It's normal, it's unremarkable, it is so totally natural. And I am so happy that you're here.